Jose, can I have... All right, thank you so much for joining us for Morning at NTV Friday's edition. It's all about arts and cultures. It's what we turned to promote here on Morning at NTV. My name is Priscilla Regina Naloga. Now from dance, music, films, festival, comedy nights, we have concerts among other events. The entertainment tourism is gaining traction. Is it safe to say that entertainment, if well exploited, has the potential to boost tourism? With more than 4 theater spaces, you have music clubs, you have cinemas, you have beaches, you have bars and other entertainment venues. You could say a guest who wants to be entertained will be spoiled for choice. Culture entertainment is not just demonstrated in food and a way of dressing, but also in music. Major areas in Kampala with nightlife experience, such as Kabaragala, are actually home to several clubs, bars and pubs that offer experience of music, concerts or international acts performances. And in the city, you will be treated to Ugandan beers and also Ugandan spirits. However, how is the sector's potential to boost tourism? We have Mr. Martin Mugaara, who's the State Minister for Tourism. Good morning to you, Honorable Minister.
Good morning, Priscilla, and morning to our viewers out there.
Okay, all right. It's a pleasure to have you joining us. Next to him, we do have Dr. James Musinguzi, who's the Executive Director with the Uganda Wildlife Education Center. Good morning to you, Doctor.
Good morning, Priscilla.
Nice to have you in the studio.
Nice to be here. Morning to you and our viewers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then next to him, we do have Andrew Kaggwa, who, of course, just ate on us the 30th cake of Monitor at 30, but as a journalist with Daily Monitor. Congratulations to you, Andrew.
Thank you.
A proud 30 years it has been.
Yes, 30.
Okay.
Like, do you remember where you were when this was 30?
I mean, yesterday I got to find out that Raymond Mujuni is just a bit a year younger than the paper. How much more myself?
I know.
I know. All right, so I'll first find out from each one of you, what's the status of tourism, what's the status of UWEC and arts journalism. But I'll start with the State Minister. Mr. Martin Mugaara, what is the state of tourism currently, post-COVID-19, having understood that in the financial year that we currently are in, there was a cut in the tourism budget?
Interestingly, of course, we are recovering from the pandemic that was global, not only affecting Uganda, because of the restrictions on movement. But of course the economies have opened. We are getting better. We've seen our numbers increase. Probably by the end of this financial year, because we're looking at having from the 1.6 million visitors then, probably could be hitting to a number of 800,000. But within the areas like the parks, we're almost there. I was in Queen Elizabeth just, I think, last week, and we looked at the numbers. Last year between January and June, we had around maybe 2,400 visitors into the park in general. But this year, between the same period, we had around 8,000. That's an enormous increase. But the interesting bit is the trend of having the Ugandans travel. Because never before unprecedented, not even before COVID, you look at the numbers almost 50-50. The number of the foreign visitors that come in, but also the Ugandans that go into the parks, are almost the same, and still using the... I'm just using Queen Elizabeth as a sample. Around 2,800 were foreigners, but still 2,800 were East Africans. When you add the students, who also 2,000 of the 8,000 visitors that visited, 8,500 that visited the Queen Elizabeth, around the 5,000 something were Ugandans, were East Africans in general. So it is something interesting, and that's why it's important that we have this topic to see how we ride on arts and entertainment to also send this awareness to the Ugandans, especially after launching the brand and the rest, so they can also participate. And of course, this year alone, we have so many activities coming up, and you'll be seeing them within the various quarters. I think we shall be moving to all the regions, holding concerts, discovering the culture, and trying to market and seeing how we can leverage entertainment, especially with our young population today. That's to see how we use them and use that platform to also market and create awareness about the beauty of Uganda.
Okay, all right. I'm privileged to having visited the Uganda Wildlife Education Center during a total lockdown with my previous workplace, and I had a conversation with Dr. Musinguzi here. It was such a beautiful place, and good enough, we had an artist who actually changed the environment that morning. And so from where we stand right now, post-COVID-19, what's the status of the Uganda Wildlife Education Center?
Thank you very much, Priscilla. I'm glad to report that business has picked up. Having prepared very well, we used the COVID time to prepare ourselves in terms of infrastructure, in terms of product diversification. We brought in some new species of animals like tigers that are only found in Uganda within East Africa. We also put up infrastructure by ensuring that we promote safety and security, reinforced the holdings, regreened the center. So by the time the economy opened up, we were ready. And I'm glad to report that we are back. The visitation has actually picked up. Just the last quarter we have finished, I want to report that we have grown the numbers by over 25% of visitation. The school groups are enormously visiting, quite a number of them.
My nephews the other day who were
Yes.
pressurizing me, "Auntie, we have to go to the bush. You have to pay money to go to the bush."
Yes.
And they were referring to the zoo.
Yes. Actually, in order to ensure quality, we have tried to segment, because we had challenges where many of them want to come on a Friday and a Thursday, and so we don't give meaningful, education. So we decided to segment so that they can come more during the weekdays, so that we reduce the numbers and we give them meaningful education. So we reduced the entrance fees from Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then try to increase a bit on Fridays and Saturdays to reduce the numbers. But otherwise, the status is the numbers are increasing over 25%. 25% increment in the visitation is quite encouraging. And to add on what my minister has said, it's impressive to see Ugandans visit. The Ugandans are visiting with their families, they are having quality time out there, and we are moving, we're on the right trajectory.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Dr. Musinguzi. Birthday boy, Kaggwa. 30 years down the road, let's look at arts and, performing arts as well as entertainment generally. In your scope, how do you see the growth of entertainment in the past 30 years and its contribution, and how Daily Monitor has contributed to that growth, actually?
Wow.
First, I wasn't there when all this started. I wasn't there when, for the past 30 years, though I think I will talk about the 20
How
years.
long have you been there?
I could still visualize or understand, because I think in the past 20 years I could follow my parents to events, and then I eventually started going to events myself, started escaping from schools. Yeah, my mom is not watching. But there is a very big change when it comes to quality, that's the quality of entertainment we consume, the quality of shows that are produced for us. But even when it comes to TV productions, for example, I could say, I still remember the very first time we had a TV drama, a serialized, which was on the Ebonies. I think then the Ebonies were there, but then Bakaimbila came with one of their adaptations. And at the very first time they adapted it from the stage, like, you know how they record it from stage and bring it to the TV. And when you see what people are doing for TV right now, like you notice that there is a very, very big improvement. When you look at things like Sanyu, things like Prestige, you notice that we've moved way too much. And even when you just look at the films we are producing at the moment, we've moved way too much. And the concerts, I do not think there were very many festivals. And by festivals, I mean the annual ones that you're very sure are coming back the next year. For example, 20 years back, I believe, of course, there could have been Nkuka Yomwaka, but of course, Nkuka can't happen without a new year coming in. But then there are those thematic festivals that are specifically looking at celebrating a certain piece of art, or those ones that are looking at celebrating contemporary music, which is still catching on in Uganda. I think when Baimba did the very first festival in 2008, they did not have a sponsor, and I think they even failed to attract 20 people to show up and pay. So they had to tell people to come in and enjoy the show for free, and still people refused. And when you see all these years later that, yeah, we have Baimba, they are going at, I think, their
14th edition. Nyege Nyege is coming back after the lockdown and everything. So I think we've moved. And of course, arts journalism, it's literally one of the most disrespected bits of journalism in the newsroom. Though they're trying their best to keep informing and breaking down these things people cannot really understand with the arts.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Well, at the end of these conversations, we're trying to see how the untapped arts and entertainment can be made tourism, or can be married to tourism, to be able to revive the economy that we speak of right now as handicapped, if we can say that. So I'll start with the State Minister, Honorable Martin Mugaara. We want to find out from you, when someone says tourism, the first thing that usually goes into a Wananchi's mind is they have to go to a tourism site, they have to go to a game park. That's the closest, when you say tourism, that's the understanding. So could you give us an understanding of what tourism is?
Well, tourism is such a broad, I actually don't have the best definition for it, to be honest. If I was to look at it in my perspective, tourism is more of, especially if you look at how we put our brand out there, that explore, where someone goes out there and gets lost in whichever discovery there is. It could be a safari, it could be food, it could be culture, anything really. You just move, and Uganda has all that to offer. So I can't limit myself to a certain, but it's something good, especially for people. The reason why the Europeans come here a lot, of course, to take a break and move around, but also for the Ugandans, I think it's important to go out there and see other cultures, especially now that we are focusing on culture, to understand some of these things. so yeah, it's a cocktail of everything. Education as well, like he's saying, for the young kids that go and understand conservation at such a young age, but also even the other activities. And that's, I had my colleague talk about Nyege Nyege and the rest, where so many cultures come to participate in different forms of art from across the region, across the world. And we are doing a partnership with the Nyege Nyege. We have other festivals. I think there's one in Masaka coming next month, where I shall also tag along with the Buganda Kingdom involved. So a number of these activities. So tourism shouldn't be limited to only safari, really. It is everything, even just for food. I know people who go to, I don't want to use the word, but go somewhere in Bushenyi just to eat. Oh
yes,
thing.
I intend to go to that place.
You know the place?
Yes, I know the place.
I have driven there just to eat that and come back. There are people who, I had the young men who just used to drive to Namojolo to eat the chicken and come back. So it's really, first of all, it's having fun, taking a break off your busy schedules, but also trying to understand what this country has to offer, the Pearl of Africa. So it's a lot, really. It's a lot. Okay. And just to say, I was somewhere yesterday and I was trying to tell, if I just talked about three, because Ugandans sometimes do not know the few unique things that we have. I could just talk about maybe three that we have that no one else in the world has. First of all, maybe globally, among the top 10 most biodiverse countries in the world, Uganda is among the top 10 in the entire globe. If you look at, of course, the biggest water lake in Africa and the second in the entire world, the longest river in the world, the most powerful waterfalls in the world, the highest non-volcanic mountain in the world, three of the highest peaks in Africa are all on the Rwenzori. But it's just too much. So that's why we encourage the Ugandans that you just go, instead of going to another country, to Dubai and the rest, to see what is all over the place, first see what is uniquely ours here in Uganda. So that's it. Some people travel actually for the nightlife. I know so many who go to Toro to discover so many things I don't want to talk about here. But that's it, really.
I know so many people from our neighbors, Rwanda, who come over the weekend just to party in Kampala just for nightlife. Yes. Yeah. So whichever way you want to call it, but it would be important that unless you're discovering, and we encourage people that once you go and get that experience, you share it, talk about it, tweet, so you create awareness so that the others can go. But of course, in the long run, it brings in money for the country. There are jobs involved. The local, right from the lowest person, the farmer will sell food. So it's a whole chain where everyone benefits. Yeah. So whichever you want to call it, you can. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'll go to Dr. Musinguzi. I know that UWEC had initially just been all about animals, but with what we have seen, is there a way that what you are doing at the Education Center Wildlife can be married with arts and culture to be able to bring in masses? Because the reality of the matter is that we have seen masses flock just for arts and culture, which is quite hard when it comes to just going to UWEC UWEC for animals. I'll give you my experience.
Yes.
Of course, as a child, you go, the school trips. I belong to a cell group, so we decided, you know what, let's go to the zoo as adults and see if the experience is any different. And the reality of the matter is that the experience was very exhilarating. Like, it was fantastic. I fed a giraffe with my hands, and it was a very, very good feeling. But then after that, we didn't have anything to do. You know, we've seen the animals, we have had all about the good things, but then after that, there's nothing to keep us around. And so that's a gap that I feel UWEC is currently actually suffering with. What's the treatment to it?
Thank you very much, Priscilla. You rightly say that actually UWEC presents an opportunity to work together with the arts, culture, and creative industry, because first of all, we have the longest beach line in Entebbe, standing at 360 meters, implying that that beach can host up to 5,000 or even 10,000 people. So it's a venue where we can record films, we can do filming, people can record songs, you know, in an exhilarating wild environment. So yes, there is an opportunity, and I think the time is now for us to see how to partner with the creative arts and industry and culture. We can have cultural festivals, food festivals. There's quite a lot that can be offered, so that after having a very good experience with the animals, then you wind down at the beach. For example, we are starting to introduce a weekend band, live band. We want to start with the first Saturday of the month, and we see how it goes, where someone comes, enjoys the animals, and thereafter cools down at the beach, you know, watching a live band, enjoying himself. We want to introduce films, you know. After watching the animals live, you wind down, you know, with films, watching films here and there. That one is going to be in addition to introduction of what we call a zoo night program. There are so many Ugandans who work and are very busy during the day, but would like to enjoy the carnivores, for example, feeding in the evening. So we'd like to introduce that tourism product where you can come in the zoo at about 6 o'clock, take part in the feeding of the carnivores, the lions, and then after go to the beach. So we are discussing, and we've prepared ourselves. We've even done, we are doing some studies to see how this can impact on the animals, especially the stress levels, so that we go into it fully with a very good evidence that our animals will not be having any problem in terms of stress, especially given that we are looking at the beach, which is far below and away from the animals. So we are trying to apply the science, get to know the impact that this could have on our animals, so that we can answer all these questions, because at the end of the day, we don't want to be, you know, criticized by animal welfare activists that perhaps we are torturing the animals, we are making noise for the animals. So once we have that evidence, then we are going to be able to go full blast into this. There is great potential, I agree with you, and it is time to tap it.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Our friend here, Kaggwa, has traveled vast in terms of arts, entertainment, and culture. How many nyeges have you attended?
No, I was there when it started. Yeah, before it became what it has become now. I was there. But when it comes to traveling, I think I've done each and every festival in East Africa. I've done quite many in South Africa, Spain. I've done very many festivals.
So I would like to put you to task to sell to these gentlemen the realities that you have seen that have actually added value through arts and entertainment with the travels that you've had.
Okay, so one of the things I noticed when they were talking about experiences. But truth is, after I experienced the giraffe, after I experienced the gorillas and all the things that Uganda has to offer, which are very beautiful things, like for an adult, I'll be like, okay, that's it. You see, the thing about art and culture is that it's something that keeps giving. Like, you will go for Nyege Nyege and you will not feel like, okay, I've been to Nyege Nyege, I'm done. You somehow still want to go back next week, because it's not about the place, it's about the people, and every other people are different. Every other stage is probably different. You're experiencing it in a different way. Every time I've been to South Africa, for instance, okay, these places I've literally understood why art is very important to their tourism. And for all the times I've been to South Africa, I've not been invited by their culture ministry. And they have quite a very serious culture ministry. But all those times my trips have been paid for by the tourism ministry or their brand South Africa. Like all the times. And then they do not even take me there to do tourism. Like they take you like, okay, you can come and do a course in film critiquing, because that's where I did my short course in film and theatre critiquing. That was during the Durban Film Festival. Like I came, but they had the itinerary well laid out that at the end of the day, when you're tired of the theory and everything, watching a lot of films and critiquing them, you somehow have to wind down. And so each and every day we literally had breakfast and lunch or dinner in different places. And these were well thought out places. Like at times you'll be near the Table Mountains. Like they were well thought out. You could see they were trying to sell something without trying to sell something. So as a country, we have to be very, very deliberate when it comes to how we are going to look at tourism and the entertainment industry. There should be a very, very, very heavy investment from the government, which at the moment doesn't exist when it comes to art. And I cannot say that investment must come from the tourism ministry, because I think, okay, the arts do not really have a ministry that seems to care that much, because one could say it's the Ministry of Gender, but at times I feel like we are just a desk in there. So at times you feel like they care so much about the girl child, early marriages, more than they're going to care about how is someone getting funding to actually shoot a film. But anyway, let me just break down the few things, how different people are using art to actually promote their countries and make money. The very first example could be, because there is more to art and there is more to entertainment. Entertainment can be sports, and art in another way can be sports. The easiest example, let's look at the Oregon World Athletics that just happened. Yeah. Let's say, how many athletes were there? Okay, we do not know the number of athletes that were there. And it's easy to assume that everyone that was there is at least worth $100,000 million. That's like, okay, it's a lot of money here, but it's also a lot of money in the US. And each and every athlete probably moved with handlers who are going to spend when they are in Oregon. And remember, they are not busy, they are not running all the time. Like, they will run today and then they will have that time, then qualify. So there is that window. Maybe they are not going to visit things in Oregon, but just imagine the shopping they are going to do from the locals. So even if people are being given per diem, which happened when I was in Durban for the festival, like I was given a lot of per diem, which I did not come back to Uganda with because,
you left it in Durban.
Because I left it in Durban.
Okay.
So even if people are being given per diem, but imagine this is an athlete that moved with a team, and that team will have to spend a lot of time in Oregon, maybe shopping, maybe going for a movie. Like they will somehow spend that money within. So most of the times, the biggest way countries usually work around entertainment is by investing a lot in it. I think our friends in Rwanda are doing the best with that.
The sports.
That sport and the center they
using
built.
Sports as part of tourism.
Yeah, so it becomes easier for them to attract things to come to them. At the moment in Uganda, we do not have even a festival that gets 40% of their budget from the government. Even if it's 20%, I don't think we have any of. And yet when you look at each and every country that's thriving using the entertainment to promote
when you put
sport.
it that way, I believe, Minister, you have received some proposals on your table from people who are coming up with festivals in that regard. What has been the reason for you to actually not sponsor these festivals?
First of all, you see, there are two things. In the first place, government doesn't, first of all, is to provide an enabling environment. It can be through cash, it can be through other avenues where it makes it much easier for an organizer to maybe organize and see how we all benefit out of this. But I want to tell you for a fact that, for instance, if we just use the Nyege per se, the last time I checked, I think around 3,000 people had bought tickets, foreigners only, and they're targeting around 8,000. The entire Jinja is fully booked up to where the venue will be. They are saying within those 3 days, maybe they could even have around 20,000 people go through the festival. That is serious business for us. I mean, without doing anything, we are making money as government. The foreign currency is coming in. Everyone down there is benefiting. Actually, we could just need maybe Nyege would be enough to have some people survive in that area for the whole year, just one festival of 3 days. So we benefit. But like I'm saying, and these are discussions we've been having with them, that come on, as much as we cannot give this much support, and indeed the proposals keep coming. And as government, we are trying to leverage, let's say, like our brothers in Rwanda. We have land now where we are trying to see if we can work out a partnership and also construct a convention center. So that because it adds an advantage because of the big capacity and facility it would provide. So yes, we agree. And there are so many proposals. We partner. And like you're going to see, right from Miss Uganda, Miss Tourism, there's actually something happening. I think we shall be launching it next week, where I think the South African Queen will be here. It is an international pageant, and we shall also be supporting. So it doesn't really have to be much cash, but we can see how we partner together within our means.
Okay. Let me ask before you come in, Kaggwa, what are the available partnership options that the Ministry of Tourism is offering to arts and entertainment?
Like I'm saying, currently, I was just trying to use what is happening now. But for instance, let's say the discussion we've been having over the cricket oval, how much they pay. And because we sometimes, but some of these private people do it on their own. It's not necessarily that they want to engage us. And there are so many, interestingly, there are so many players in the private sector that we try to partner with. But you see, government also has a way of doing things. And we say, this is the way, if you want a partnership with us, because of accountability purposes, this is how we should organize our partnership. And someone will say, no, it's either my way or not. But this is a government money, it's not my own money. I just can't have it and throw it to you. So it needs accountability. And some of them are not willing to account, interestingly. So we find it very difficult to partner in those areas. So it's a challenge, but we are working. And we're going to see how we also streamline, to see how we arrange our partnerships in a way that it's easy for them to also access. So, but I want to assure you that government is increasing the support into the sector. I think also going forward, especially after COVID, I think everyone has realized the importance of tourism and how much we need to support the private sector. So we work as a team, and in most cases, it is very difficult to find a government organizing, for instance, a festival. It is very difficult. Let's say we shall have a Choto Hampango in Toro, but it will be mainly the cultural institution plus the regional players. Then we shall come and team up with the other players, the UNDP and the rest. So it's difficult for government on its own to say, now this is ours. It's usually they organize, we partner, and see how we work together. But I'm trying to tell you that one of the challenges that we've had is how we streamline our partnerships and accountability going forward.
Yes, what I was trying to say is actually maybe we cannot run away from the fact that money is a very big factor when it comes to this, when it comes from the government. One, I will use the examples of the things I've been to. You will never go to Durban and there is no big film. And by big film, I mean a big film that's coming out within that period. And it is very expensive to get, say, a Hollywood film that's coming out in July to be at your festival and with the stars of that film. But you know what that does is when you have this big film, there is a Ugandan who has his money and they want to meet Meryl Streep just to see Meryl Streep, and they are going to book a ticket to actually come to your festival because this film is coming out in that time. But that's not just it. A lot of press is going to come simply because Meryl Streep has come for the Durban International Film Festival. Then you look at still the Cape Town Jazz Festival. Like, this is one of the biggest in Africa, one of the biggest music festivals in Africa. They will always get a touring jazz artist of the time, a touring jazz artist who is in vogue, who people are listening to, because they know that they are jazz buffs that would do anything to be at this festival, whether they are South Africans or not, but they will be at this festival because this artist is there. And those artists still attract a lot of media. And then we have our friends in Kenya who run the Kalasha Film Market. The Kalasha Film Market will do everything in their powers to make sure that they bring people like people from, say, Netflix, Prime, because they know very many filmmakers that are trying to get onto these platforms will come from wherever they are in Africa to just come and descend on Nairobi. And at that time, it might look like they are helping the African industry, but come on, when we go to Nairobi and descend on it, we shall eat their food, we shall sleep in their hotels, we shall go to their clubs, we shall drink their beer. So at the end of the day, they make back all the money, literally, the government invested. And truth is, festivals do not make money from gate collections. So at times, to bring the artists that are going to bring someone from Kenya, from Ghana, to come to Uganda because of a festival, you need big acts. And most of the times it's the government that will tell you, organize everything you want and tell us where you want to come in. I think actually it happened in Kenya when they were organizing a golf competition. And I think the president was like, you can organize everything you want. If you need any specific golfer and anyone, like, I can handle their itinerary, their sleeping, because they know what it means when a specific golfer shows up to your golf competition.
Okay, all right. Now this actually opens up a can of worms for the tourism industry. As I come to you, Dr. Musinguzi, one, I think maybe government should revisit how they look at it in terms of partnerships and sponsorships. Not that you necessarily have to give out cash or anything, but whatever form of investment or contribution you give to arts, entertainments and cultures actually comes back in return in forms of economy boosting. That's one of the best ways that you actually get to have a return as government. Then also in regards to tapping into the big names that are out there to actually extend tourism. For example, we had Kanye West here. Apparently, Ministry of Tourism knew about Kanye West. They did shh. The man had his private tour and went out of the country. Imagine if Kanye West, wherever he stayed, actually held a private concert. Just the big of the big in the country were willing to spend to have that experience, and that would be money back into the economy through the Ministry of Tourism. That way you can actually ask for more money in this regard. We have had the most recent gentleman here, Terrence Howard, selling us hydrogen, but he did nothing else in regards to tourism, did he?
He did. Yeah.
He did.
He did.
And it was a private thing still, nevertheless. You couldn't have a conversation with him and say, look here, Mr. Howard, people here have watched this drama series of yours. They're addicted to you, even if it's just a Terrence Howard talk at a certain 1 million. It's okay. People are willing to spend that money, you know, to have that interface and interaction. So I think all these opportunities that this conversation is actually opening up for tourism going forward, how do you leverage on these conversations? There's
Uganda makes much more money.
A social media guy called, he does.
Uganda makes much more money from Terrence Howard coming to Uganda and actually partnering with a Ugandan producer to make a film than Terrence Howard coming himself and enjoying tourism. Because that's him literally endorsing you in a film, and many people will be curious to know where this is happening from than him coming with his family and enjoying, and they live. The other
last year, I think it was last year, when we had the social media guru Khalid, the Mr. Muslim man and his family coming to Uganda for a wedding, and they wanted to experience the culture of weddings in this country, and so they went leaps and bounds to have that kind of experience. And I like the fact that they publicized it, so Ugandans were actually following up closely with the events while they were here in Uganda. So that's something for you, State Minister, to think about. Now, I will turn to Dr. Musinguzi. With what you have had contributed between the two parties out of this conversation, how can institutions such as UWEC actually, you know, maybe partner, or what would be their contribution moving forward to support arts, culture and entertainment in order to then promote what you're doing and promote tourism at a larger scale?
Thank you very much, Patricia. Like I said, we are open to partnerships. For example, if somebody is shooting a film or is arranging a festival, it doesn't have to be cash to pay us. We can discuss and negotiate and say, look, here is the venue. We can, you know, arrange this together, and these are the proceeds. Perhaps we share the proceeds like this, like that, after coming out successfully. So for us, what we are saying is that we are open, like even my minister has said, we are open to partnerships, especially with a more organized arts and creative industry sector. Because once you're organized and you have your organizations, you write your proposals through that organization, then you can be trusted, even maybe money can be extended to you because there will be accountability. There is an organization that you're dealing with. I think that is key going forward. The creative arts, I'm glad they're having elections here and there, UMA and all that. They need to be more organized so that they are dealing with government in a more organized way. Once they are more organized, then they will be recognized, and we are happy to work with them.
Okay, Dr. Musinguzi.
Just to add on Doctor, like I'm saying, of course, now as a Minister of Tourism, we can't be experts on everything. For instance, Teres came and he did chimpanzee trekking, got a certificate, and he tweeted about us. We made something. About the film and the rest, we may not necessarily be experts.
Now, let me tell you, let me interrupt you right there. That tweet got Terence money, but it didn't get Ugandans money.
But you see, in the long run, it will make Ugandans money, and I'll tell you why. Because, you know, someone has talked about Uganda, the awareness has been created. So many people that are around Terence as a celebrity. So it's about creating awareness. In the long run, numbers will come in. But also to say, interestingly, that Uganda has tried to partner before. You know, we tried organizing the MTV Awards with MTV. Unfortunately, because of sometimes our response to, that's what I'm saying, we take politics so far, and because we actually bogged down the whole project ourselves. But you can imagine if we had that whole group of celebrities here talking about... They were not?
It was a virtual show.
No, that's what I'm saying. No, but after some time, even the virtual failed, you know, because of the negativity. Whether it would have been virtual or not, for us would have taken some small credit because of COVID, of course. But it didn't even happen.
Because of COVID and the election.
Yes,
time,
it didn't. Yeah. But because of the negativity around it, no one actually, everyone de-associated themselves from it. But we are trying to see how we partner. I know the executive, the Mr. Musinguzi here, sometime when we had Ruga here, just discussing, and we had a small agreement. He went to the zoo, visited, tweeted about it. Yeah. So we're trying to see how we broaden this going forward. But it's important that we're having this discussion. Let's partner together. Don't leave the expertise only to us. If my brother
and
has
that's why I wanted to ask, because from the sound of it, it sounds like your marketing teams are actually waiting for people to then bring in proposals and ideas rather than sitting down and brainstorming how do they tap into the existing opportunities that the arts, culture and industry have presented, and with evidence for that matter.
No, but you see, interestingly, let me tell you, if you look at, for instance, what is before my table now in terms of partnerships and requests, I mean, it is just enormous, and all of it has potential. But of course, we can't do everything. We will choose what we can. Some are really important events, but the budgets are too huge. The effort from us they would require would be too huge. Sometimes we cannot come in and manage. But we are not seated there waiting. And there are so many innovative Ugandans. Some of these things have even been before us as 2 years ago. So we're trying to see what we can manage. But the requests are there. But like I said, it is good we're having this conversation. Let's see how to partner where we can within the resources that we have. And then we'll see how we make a benefit. But I want to assure you of a fact that everything that the arts and culture organizes in this country, as a sector, we benefit. There is no doubt. Whether we are there physically or not, we make something of it, and the Ugandan benefits. So let's see how we create more presence, more partnerships to benefit from this for the Ugandan in the long run.
Okay. Kaggwa, collaboration between tourism and the art industry. Who should start the conversation? Collaboration and partnerships, yes, by the way, are two different things.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think at the moment, the ministry should start. Do you know why? Because the entertainment industry or the creative economy has managed to thrive without them. And at the moment, they can still believe they can do without them. And there is no way we can argue with them about that. But today, there is something that people are calling lifestyle marketing or lifestyle tourism. Like, there are very, very, very many kids out there who do not give a hoot of how a gorilla looks like, and they don't want, but they want to go for a party. I mean, just last weekend, I think, Tiwa was in Uganda, but after Tiwa was in Uganda, Ladipo was in Uganda. He's another Nigerian artist. perform at a private party. I think it's Chop Life. Yeah, the party is called Chop Life. So today there are very many people that are into the whole lifestyle marketing, lifestyle tourism, people that just want to have fun. And you might not really look at it as tourism, but trust me, the amount of money that's coming into the economy because this thing is happening. Because the other day, I think a colleague of us here, Sami Wetala, was in Dubai, courtesy of a group of Nigerians. And basically that's what they do. It's like they go chop life in adventurous places, but at the end of the day, they leave money there. So the ministry or the government or whoever you represent actually has to start the conversation, because at the moment we are moving from that place where tourism is a bunch of animals and a bunch of spaces, because even spaces, by the way, have been added, they've added a little add to those spaces so that people come for the entertainment, but then they end up seeing the spaces. I'll tell you an experience of mine in Zanzibar. Zanzibar, they literally have a lot of festivals spread around there. Like they have one at the beginning of there, which is, I think, the South is Absara. Then they have the Zanzibar International Festival. And then they have other festivals around food, around their dance. But the Zanzibar International Festival of Film and South is Absara both happen at the fort. Now, truth is, we've read about slavery in Zanzibar and everything, but I did not really care so much about these things. So when I visit Zanzibar for these two festivals, you don't even have anyone guiding you around to tell you about this, but they make sure that they give the artist that is going to perform for you the information they need. And before you know, a reggae artist steps on stage and is like, I'm proud to be here because we are standing at the place where our forefathers were. And then they give you the information and you're like, wait, that's where we're standing right now. Like the festival happens at the fort where they used to hold the slaves before they were shipped out. And just the significance of that location literally brings very many people to Zanzibar to experience this. So in Uganda we have, for example, the Kabaka's Palace, the old one, where they hold Nkuka from. Like one is the old palace. There is a full history why the Kabaka no longer stays there. The Kabaka doesn't stay in a place where blood has been shed and everything. That same venue has the torture chambers, which were used by both Amin and Obote. Like that's the whole history around. And then just behind it is a very large place where they host the Nkuka. And you can imagine if we are having, say, another festival that had an international touch to it, like this one, the space is selling a story and then you have an entertainment addition to it.
So a person goes away not just with entertainment, but with information that causes them to be triggered to actually find out more or desire to find out what more there is about, you know, Uganda, for that matter, through tourism. Then they can be attracted to visit anything else Buganda related. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So what I'm hearing Kaggwa saying is basically that with tourism, with UWEC, you could actually consider moving forward using arts, culture and entertainment as a voice to be able to tell your stories, to be able to extend your messages, to be able to promote what you are doing. What do you pick out of this conversation, Dr. Musinguzi?
Yeah, I think what I clearly pick and appreciate is that we need to delve more into the entertainment industry, creative arts, and appreciate it more. And I'm glad that we are here talking about this. And when I hear my brother here, the way he's passionate and how he's actually bringing out the various opportunities that the industry presents, I feel that we've not done enough in terms of reaching out to them. But I also want to tell him that we need to work together in a way, have a conversation, let's discuss what proposals can we write even jointly and even seek partners even abroad or in other sectors, as opposed to saying, oh, well, we shall sit back and wait for you to come. Let us see how we start to explore, because there's quite a lot. I'm learning a lot, as a matter of fact, that this industry actually does present and the enormous opportunities there are that we can actually tap in and how we can work together. Because, for example, right now we are planning to set up even regional wildlife centers in all regions of the country, not only the zoo in Entebbe. We are setting up in Mbale, Mbarara, Fort Portal, Gulu. What if we used a model of working with the industry to actually move around the country? So for me, I want to say that I'm glad we are talking about this, and it is coming to the fore, and we are appreciating it more than we were before. And that presents an innovative way of us actually reaching out to them. I want to tell you that we could actually start the proposal writing and the partnership initiation, because I see a lot of opportunities that this creative industry, culture, food, there's quite a lot that it presents, and through that we can actually drive our message of promoting the country.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
But maybe just to add, you see, for a long time Africa has been selling safari, and it's a colonial problem. It is
How is
changing.
it a colonial problem?
Yes, I'm just trying to tell you.
Okay.
And for a fact, currently culture is the fastest growing tourism component, even better than safari, we all agree. And that's why countries like Egypt, they don't have any wildlife, they're only selling culture.
Yes.
So many countries, if you moved globally, and they are making money, getting more numbers. For a period of time, the people that have been involved in the tourism sector have been, if you look at, for instance, most of the tour operators, the Ugandans are now participating. Before, it was mainly left. It was basically a Muzungu business throughout. So over the period of time, what we've been selling is safari. It's only now, and it's not only a Ugandan problem. It is in most of the countries that have the safari. But of course now,
And I guess because Bazungus lacked these things in their own home countries.
yeah.
Okay.
So they classified as, for us that had safari, focus on safari. For the Egyptians that have history, let's focus on history and the rest. But of course now we are just trying to break that barrier, see how we participate in the rest. Because between me and you, there is a lot of culture. Just was speaking about, for instance, we have a museum here. I've been talking about this, that if you look at the traditional weddings, let's say Uganda has today, are not the real original ones.
Yeah.
But those videos are there from 1920. If you look at the actual Maganda dances, they are there, and we're trying to upgrade them into digital and show the real Ugandans what actually happened, what used to happen to them, not the duplication that they have today. So we are looking at this, but it is something that is new, that we are trying to, and I'm happy when I see young people that are passionate like him talking about this and creating awareness. And hopefully, and that's why I keep saying, the responsibility of doing all this business shouldn't be for me, the minister, or for the ED, but even for him who is in the sector. And of course, you, I know you've been doing it. So let it be collective so that we achieve the best out of this.
Okay, all right. You've actually just spoken about what we have and preservation of, the arts and the culture and how tourism can leverage on that. Because I'm imagining if I went to Bwindi Impenetrable, had my perhaps gorilla trek, and then when I'm done, I can sit down and watch a film about Buganda culture, the dances, the traditions of, marriage and all those things. That would,
even stories, if you go to places like Gahiza Island, just within Kisoro, there are so many places that have their own stories. You don't even actually have to import
and that's what I'm saying. That's where I'm going, that then how this conversation then opens a can of worms in terms of tourism, and how can tourism actually then get to sell region by region to where you have the hotspots of tourism. For example, Kidepo National Park. It has a lot of things around in terms of food tourism, dance tourism, marriage tourism, customs tourism, rituals tourism. And so how can all these things be brought together and merged and married together to then be giving a more sumptuous package for a person who's coming and more willing to spend as much money to be able to enjoy as much of Uganda as possible?
Yeah, like I'm saying, and you've said it well. If you moved, to be honest, if you moved around this, and that's why I tell Ugandans, it's important to go and really do the exploration. There is a story about every place in this. If you went to the islands in Kalangala, if you went to Bunyonyi, there are stories that you'd sit and actually just listen to the people. And we are trying to profile most of these people with the real technical expertise to come up with these stories and build on them. So when you go to a place, it's beyond the food, it's beyond the safari. It's also what you'd sit and talk about in the evening. And that's why, like we said, this financial year alone, you're going to see us do, we shall be, I think, in the Mbale region for almost 4 days, have carnivals for around 3 nights. Look at the Imbalu, how it came into play, the whole story, and profile it well. And of course, that's why we're asking for partnerships with the media houses, So that we create. But the story is, you would be spoiled for choice. I mean, we have over 50 tribes in this country. Each one stands for something different.
Okay.
So it's just...
All right. So for the rest of the year, under the Ministry of Tourism, what do we have?
Well, I started with those few. Just come and see. We are going to have activities throughout.
When are these activities that you have mentioned?
Well, starting from, I think, even next month with the World Tourism Day onwards, Choto we have something in Ankole. We shall have something in the north, in the east, something in Buganda. Come on, everything. We're going to try and do what we can within our means to create awareness. But of course, the most important thing is really, as the Ugandans, let's be the first marketeers. Yes. Let's participate in this. Let's go explore this beautiful country. But whenever you're doing it, please tweet about it. The roads, you know, there are some people stay in Kampala and fear getting outside Kampala. I know someone who says, me, I cannot travel by road for more than 100 kilometers. But the roads are very good. You'd actually enjoy the green and the rest. And this one I'll always say, even with the smallest car, the Vitz, you can put fuel for people and go to Maction and back.
I have a friend who has a parcel to Kabale.
Yeah, you can see. Yes. So let's just participate. This is our own country.
Yeah.
Let's talk good about it and market it.
Okay, all right. Uganda Wildlife Education Center, Dr. Musinguzi, as the Executive Director, what is your commitment to Ugandans?
Well, we shall continue to offer our mandates, deliver the mandates as enshrined in the law, but also continuously innovate more products and services. Like I've told you, we want to go regional so that we can reach as many Ugandans as possible. Also, we shall be celebrating 70 years this year. The zoo will be making 70 years, which is great. And we are doing this when we are rated the best in East, West, and Central Africa, as ranked by the Pan-African Association of Zoos and Aquariums. So we are very proud, and we shall be reaching out to Ugandans out there to join us in this celebration, to look at the milestones and where we've come, and the future prospects that we have, including regionalizing conservation education, as well as tourism product diversification. We want to bring the wildlife closer to the people so that we can create a connection between the people and the wild animals, so that in the long run we have passion created for these animals and the tourism industry in general. I only want to echo that we should talk about whatever we see. Let's tweet about it, let's tell a friend, word of mouth is very powerful, and also let's have positive vibe for our country. Tourism can be killed if there is negative publicity. So I think that is critical, as echoed by my minister. We need to have positive vibe for our country as we pick the pieces as after COVID-19, so that more tourists can come and enjoy what we're talking about, the creative arts, the food, the culture, and all that. So together we can all play a role. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Kaggwa, Executive Director, has mentioned vibes. So what are the vibes moving forward?
I think what earlier you asked how this can spread in other parts of the country. And I think the easiest way is partnering with other, not just the arts, but with other forms of recreation. I mean, there is sports. There is a country where they usually have a motocross in the desert. I cannot seem to remember it now.
Dakar?
Yeah, I think it's Dakar.
Senegal.
Yeah.
Senegal.
So, like, how comes we've not had like a those guys of bicycles in a place like Kabale? Like, it's literally the perfect weather. We've not had a marathon in some of these places, which are a perfect weather. Literally, anytime you go there, you can have a perfect marathon. And those are things that start bringing people around. And by the time you're doing your 50th edition, you can't imagine the growth that has happened in the area. So I think we need partnerships a lot. We also don't need to run away from the fact that, that government money, whether they give it to the creatives or they do not give it to them, and they just handle those things themselves, and they're like, okay, you wanted Mo Farah to be at your marathon, we've brought him, we are making sure he's accommodated and everything, but he's here. Even if that's what they do, like, we shall welcome it. Like, we need those partnerships. they cannot run away from the money they have to invest in this industry.
Oh yes, for it to actually thrive,
Right,
because I mean tourism is one of the largest contributors to the current.
The largest.
Yes.
It's the largest in terms of the pool when it comes to financing for the country. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen. I believe that we all need each other at the end of the day to be able to support the economic crisis that each one of us is experiencing in one way or another. And so the contribution of the Ministry of Tourism is paramount. The contribution of institutions of tourism such as UWEC is paramount, but also arts, culture and entertainment are equally a very huge, large, untapped potential that in case we can have the collaborations, the partnerships, they can go a long way in actually taking this country to another level, and especially a global level. The best example is sports and how it continuously has put the flag of Uganda out there. And so everyone is talking about Joshua Cheptegei, everyone is talking about Jacob Kiplimo, everyone is talking about Kiplingat because of what they have done. But how can we leverage on them? And I think it was in the Olympics when these guys came back, I expected the Ministry of Tourism to do like a huge countrywide blah 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 blah. But anyway, we shall have those conversations moving forward. How do you tap into music? How do you tap into dance? How do you tap into film? How do you tap into comedy? How do you tap into the custom, the cultures that are so rich in this country that has over 56 tribes? All this is untapped potential, and if we can work together, then trust you me, this country would be a very, very influential country, not just within the region, but on the continent. Well, that's all the conversation that we've had for you on arts and culture. Thank you so much for having joined us. Stephen Mbita will be coming up next.